If you don't know who XXXTentacion, who will be referred to as X, was, he was a young man who was a rapper, 20 years old. He died yesterday, apparently from gunshot wounds in Miami. And I know about him 100% because of my job. I got a whole bunch of 20-year-olds who listen to his music like his, or know who he is. And, you know, if I still worked at Boeing, I doubt I would know about him. But never listened to his music. You know, I didn't purchase his music or anything like that. But anyway, he was shot to death yesterday. And the internet is very interesting. And I'll run you through my thoughts. When we first got the news, I was shooting a sketch at work, and saw the news, and my first thought was, man, that's sad. He's 20 years old and he's dead. Then I was like even sadder because I saw the video. I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw like the video of him in the car. And I wish there were a way to set your phone up to like prevent you from seeing videos of stuff like that without your consent. Like without you deciding, you know, I'm going to watch this video. Because you're just going about your day, and next thing you know, you're like, before you even realize what's happening, you're watching video of a lifeless body or some tragic thing. Like, you don't even have to go, like, you don't have to go out of your way. Like before, when Break.com or YouTube was really young, you'd have to search dead body and stuff like that. Now that stuff just be like posted, and I'm like, fam, I know we're getting desensitized to it, at least the video form of it. I don't know if that'll affect people if they see it in real life. But it's just not normal to be like seeing that. I see some form of violence, trauma, ridiculousness every single day on social media. And that's part of the reason I just make videos that are like lighthearted and fun all the time, to just throw in some like levity and joy in people's days. And that's why I post videos, even if it's not like the greatest, funniest thing. Sometimes people just be like, man, that was funny, or that was, you know, I didn't have to think about something else for a moment. But anyway, so that was my second thought. And then I started watching the internet, and right now, at least on Twitter, there are two thoughts, and only two thoughts, that you can have. The one side is, rest in peace, he was young, gone too soon, he was trying to turn his life around, he was trying to be positive, you know, and his life was cut short before he could do that. The other side is he was an abuser, physical and sexual abuser to a woman or a group of women, including a pregnant girlfriend, including like having a barbecue fork and threatening to jam said fork into his girlfriend's vagina, and then not doing it and like rubbing it across her thigh and her passing out from fear. And then it's the other side of his fans basically saying that's not true, she was a liar, she was scamming. And then people saying he was convicted or accused of witness tampering, so it is true. From what I saw of him, he at least had some dark energy. In his XXL freestyle, he like prayed to the devil, for real. Like, we made a parody of it, and he prayed to the devil. So, and generally on the internet, we have to classify things as black or white, classic or trash. There's no gray. And, you know, Jadena, he was saying that, you know, basically in so many words, yes, he was a bad person, or he had a bad past, but, you know, basically who among us can't grow, you know? You know, he was trying to turn his life around. And then the people who were abused or siding with the victim abusers are like, no, basically good riddance. You gonna do that to Hitler? And then Lovey, a person who I really admire and appreciate, because people are like, you can't speak ill of the dead, and people are like, I'm gonna say what it is. And Lovey said something that I think I'll carry with me always. She said, live your life in a way that people can mourn you without guilt. And I thought that was so impressive, because I think, you know, a couple of things. When I said I'm sad early, it was like, I'm sad that this happens. This happens to young black men and women by our own hands, because of, you know, violence, because of poverty, because of police. That whole thing makes me sad. And then on the other hand, it doesn't seem like this guy had spent the majority of his last 5 years doing good things. It just seems like maybe he was trying to turn around at the end. And then somebody said something that I thought was interesting, like, you know, they were saying if George Zimmerman, the guy who killed Trayvon Martin, died, I wouldn't feel bad. And I thought, judge me if you want, I don't think I'd feel bad either, considering what he did. And I know, you're not supposed to think those things, you're not supposed to say those things, but that was a thought that crossed my mind. It's interesting about not speaking ill about the dead. My great grandmother, rest in peace, she died, and she was mean and angry most of her life. Like, almost all of my memories are about her being angry and mean. Everybody knew this. My grandma, all my cousins, uncles, aunts, everybody knew this. Everybody at the church, we just knew Grandma Jack was mean. At her funeral, no one was mentioning this. Everybody was saying, oh, we loved her, which I get. I was happy these things were said, because you remember the good parts about people. Then my brother said, I don't know what y'all talking about. Grandma Jack was mean. She had a lot of love. We loved the way she cooked, but she was mean and she was petty. And we gonna remember that part about her too. Grandma Jack would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and bang pots around because nobody was up. So, we love you, Grandma Jack, but you was mean. And we all laughed. Through tears, we laughed. And I thought, that is true. And I think that kind of reminds me of, like, what happens to X and, like, you know, or what happened to him. It's like some people that he affected their lives will feel relief that he can't torment them anymore. And other people who are also victims of abuse in some sort, they're not going to feel bad about his demise, no matter how it happened. Gun violence, overdose, whatever. And here's one of the things about going live that makes me scared. I don't really like going live when I don't have my full thoughts together, because I don't want my thoughts to be taken out of context and my words twisted. But I think it's like the movie Inside Out. When you're a baby, you have joy, sadness, anger, you know, fear, and those feelings are very, like, monotone. I am happy because I just ate. I am sad because I am hungry and tired. I feel joy, you know. But as you age, like in the movie, your emotions and your feelings are tainted. You feel things like bittersweet. You know, some memories, like in the movie, the girl's, one of her happy moments, memories was tied to sadness. Her team had lost the game and she was sad and she was crying, and her teammates had came and cheered her up, and then that memory was happy. So your memories are mixed now. And I think that's how this XXX thing is. I think I feel a mix of emotions. I feel sadness for a young black man who was taken by violent means. That is someone's son, brother, all that stuff. Like, I feel sad about that, because that is too often the place for young black men. I feel sad because it looked like, at least from what, I don't know him, obviously, from social media, we, get glimpses, but it looks like he was trying to be more positive and turn his life around, and you never know what he could have been. But you also don't know if he could have reverted back to old habits. I, for one, don't think I know I don't take joy in his demise, but at the same time, I see how people can. And that is harsh. Admittedly, that is harsh. But I'm not a victim of sexual or physical or emotional abuse. And we often celebrate artists regardless of their humanity. X was not a person who blew up and then his past came. Most of this stuff was known about him throughout his, the last 3 years when he was on. So people were like listening to his music, knowing he had and there's a picture of his girlfriend being beat up, bloody face, the knife story. This stuff wasn't new. I had heard about this years ago. That's why I was like, yo, that dude is on some other. I would never support, buy, listen, purposely go out of my way to do that. But thousands of people did. He's top of the streaming charts. When Spotify threatened to take his music down or off of playlists, all type of people were like, you can't do that. His personality is separate from his humanity. I personally don't feel like that. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Steve Harvey, and I like Steve Harvey. I think he's cool. Hope to meet him one day, work with him. However, Steve Harvey's had 2 or 3 failed marriages. Some of which he allegedly has cheated on his wife. His current wife was supposed to be allegedly was his, and I've heard this from old comics, not hearsay. People who've been on the road with him were like, man, she was on the road with him being his side chick. Steve Harvey has reinvented himself as a relationship guru. I am fam, I'm not listening to you on no relationship advice. Personally, I'm not trying to hear it. You have no credibility with me in that area. Kanye, loved him, was one of my favorite rappers. Just loved the first 3 albums, loved 808 and Heartbreaks, MBDTF or whatever. He said all that Trump stuff, slavery was a choice. I'm not going to download the album. I don't care how you feel, you do what you do. I have not bought or listened to it. And here's the other thing. People are making that choice and picking and choosing. People aren't consistent with even any of those themselves. So I'm not saying people are going to be like, what about this person? What about that person? What about this person? What about that person? Everybody's making their own choice, right? But me personally, once I disagree with your views enough, I can't support you. But people were not doing that. R. Kelly, another example. This man's stuff, not new. His stuff, and I got to admit, being 100% blunt, before the sex cult stuff, I never really bought R. Kelly's music ever anyway. But when the songs came out, his 90s R&B playlist came out, post-traumatic stuff, I've since not listened to his music for the last couple years. But after a while, I was still stepping in the name of love. Trapped in the Closet, the first 4 tracks, masterpiece. I haven't listened to him since. But people will be like, oh, okay, that part of you, I'm not listening to this part. People do that, and it ain't just some little stuff. So, and I think all these things are and also people be on social media talking and acting, and that's not how they act in real life. Okay? So just because we say something on social media, people talk crazy about Kanye and R. Kelly, and people still be listening to their music. People be all saved, holier than thou, and be cussing in the group chat, getting drunk, smoking, doing heroin, steroid. People be on social media putting forth the person that they want to be. They want to be perceived as. And it's not always the person they really are. And that's hard to reconcile. Sometimes people be, and I get it to a certain extent, because I be up and down eating right and stuff, and I don't be wanting to come on here and be like, I'm back off the wagon, I'm back on, I'm back off, I'm back on. But if you've been following me for a long time, you know I've been doing this for a good 6-7 years, since 2012 at least, 11. Been eating right, off, eating right, you know, so I'm one of those people. And that's the thing about X, it's like, I think it's okay to feel a mix of emotions, and some of them are dominant, some of those are dormant, you know, and just things don't have to be black and white. But on Twitter, it's rest in peace. Why are you defending this abuser? Or why are you glorifying his death? And I think with a lot of things, there's lessons to be learned in pieces, whole or part, you know, all that type of stuff. Somebody said, how are you going to cuss and speak in tongues? That's a funny thing you say that. There's a lot of Christians who cuss. A lot. And a lot of Christians who believe when the Bible talks about cursing, they're talking about cursing people, not using curse words. And they use examples like language evolves and changes, and what is a cuss word to somebody isn't someone to someone else. Like the word piss. People saying I'm pissed off, that's a cuss word to some people. That's not a cuss word to me, mainly because my mom said I'm pissed off as a kid. She said it all the time. So I was like, I'm pissed off, and she never reprimanded me, so I didn't grow up thinking that was a curse word. And people, Lecrae and Andy Mineo were talking about this when they were talking about listening to music, and Andy Mineo was saying people cuss. You could not use a curse word, but your entire life could be cursing people. And what do you think, Russell says this too, you can cuss and not have ill intentions behind it. And let's just be honest, a lot of people cuss, a lot of Christians cuss. They may not cuss in church. They might not cuss everywhere. They might not cuss in front of you. I know some pastors, a lot of pastors that cuss. I ain't gonna out them, but you'll be surprised. A lot of pastors that don't openly talk about alcohol or drinking, drink, smoke cigars. The stuff pastors do when they're on vacation halfway across the world, you wouldn't believe. My brother and I were at an event in an undisclosed city. My brother said he went into this ballroom. They had taken pastors, leaders, all the top people. They had taken everybody's phones. The event was them chilling, open bar, smoking and drinking. Chilling. Nobody was drunk, from what my brother said. But he was like, Kev, it was regular, club. It's a mix of emotions. People, black church people, we don't want no gay people around. No gay, nothing. Do you realize if that were the case, there'd be no music, hardly any good music? Gay people write the best songs. Say what you want. Some have some of the best voices, direct the choirs, sing, all that stuff. You take the gay out of the church, it's going to be hard to have good music. Some of these pastors. Listen, Tone, for example, he's one person who outed himself. He wrote Make Me Over. It sounds like it's about being gay. You know my other side. I can no longer hide. We was like, hallelujah. He was like, fam, I'm trying to tell y'all something. I'm gay. No, we're worshiping. I am gay. No. And he wrote one of the best albums of all time. Out the Box is probably my favorite gospel album. Top 5 at least. So anyway, the service is going to be messed up. We'll continue this at another day. God bless you. God keep you. I love you. See you later.